Hello and welcome everybody to another Wonderful Day at the Agency. I'm your magnanimous host, Agent Q. With me today is Yuki.
Hi, Yukikaze!
All right, for anyone who didn't bother to read the title of these streams here, or actually I didn't bother to read Yuki's title, so I'm not sure on her side, we have decided to go down our top 10 of anime from the year 2025. Now, this will be mostly picked from all of our shows that were A rank or S rank.
As always, this will only be new anime that premiered in the year. It will not include any ongoing series or anything like that that started outside of 2025.
Yep, a few of these did have seasons that went a little bit further in their year. I don't think anything went for like 3 cores, possibly. I might be wrong on that one. I felt a couple of these might have that I missed. A few of these are finished standalones. A few of them are still going. These will probably be counted into our top ranking, our top 10 list. God damn it, getting my talking right. But that being said, one thing we do kind of have and don't have on our list is one thing we do kind of do with our list is include bias. We, or at least I, do not. It's like you can't separate yourself out from what you like and don't like, even if it a lot of the time, and especially a lot of objective shows. So we do try to keep that in there. So if you see a show that we ranked low or that was on our top list, which you can see all of those here, or go back and go or check our postings, because we do post every list, final ranking list of our streams on our social media and Discords. That being said, we'll kind of go over mine and Yuki's top lists. I am a general shonen boy with a general love for all of my giant robot friends. The things I'll generally bounce off of are your slice of lives and your rom-coms, kind of healing show. Anything set in a modern day that's slow pace and doesn't really do much, I kind of do not care for.
Whereas I'm kind of the opposite when it comes to modern day stuff. If it's set in modern day, I want it to be like slice of life or romance or something. Not really into the modern military or near future military kind of stuff. In addition, sports though, I definitely bounce off of. And we're both huge fantasy and isekai trash goblins.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree on both of that side.
Yuki! Hi, Para! Welcome!
Yep, welcome. You're getting here just at the start. Okay, so we were kind of debating on how to rank all this list. We each have separate, I should pull mine up actually, because I put that on the side here. Ranking lists to what we think it are. We're going to kind of debate to get our final ranking, just so we balance it like we try to do with all of our tier lists, is getting a good balance on that one, which why you see so many trash isekai that kind of pops up higher than it probably should a lot of the time.
Although to be fair, we do dump a lot of that into the trash category, even when it's a good show as well.
Yeah, we know what we like and we know what it is most of the time. All right, the trailers, which we might be doing a little talking through, but nothing major on that one, just because I'm also trying to lean away from the let's just watch trailer, because it is supposed to be feeds for you to get to know the show. At the same point, I do feel like some commentary should be done during those, but we do try to keep that jokey. So if you are in the VOD, the trailers don't get muted, you will not be missing much of our breakdowns or final thoughts on that. If you're catching this on live, though, although I think YouTube did cut my stream off last ranking list midstream for a minute or two.
They weren't happy with all the copyrighted content being played, probably.
Yeah, I forget which one it is, but it got me on that. That being said, all right, Yuki, would you like to start us off on what your rank 10 is?
Sure.
What you put as your number 10?
Yeah, and as you mentioned, so especially for these personal lists of ours, I'm definitely putting a lot of bias into it, kind of intentionally. When we go to do the final list, I think we're going to probably try to settle on something a little more objective between the two of us. But coming in at number 10 for me was Zenshu, and I will go ahead and pull up the trailer for that. So, Before we really dive into this, I want to mention as well that um, keep in mind, even hitting number 10 on this list is relatively impressive. We had easily over 150 new series in this past year. So for something to even be like brushing up against this top 10 list is already putting it way ahead of a lot of the competition.
Yep, I believe if I remember the count correctly, we have 15 shows that made it to the very tip top of our ranking list. 5 of these will be excluded. Um, but
Or
the
we may at
last
least
will
touch on
be.
them as honorable mentions.
We'll probably go over anything that both of us didn't discuss, but I feel like some of the shows are going to be brought up as one or all, both of us liking them. I'm going to kind of throw stuff up here as we're going up the list ourselves. But so, finalists, don't pay attention too much to this as we're going. It's the final one you're going to really have to pay attention to. But all right, you put Zensu at 10. Okay, what brings it to here, Yuki?
Well, I definitely really loved the story that they had here, a very original world. I loved how they had this sort of meta narrative about animation and how all that factored into it. The animation itself, of course, was very, very superb in a lot of ways. We had certain types of characters, particularly some of the like furry anthropomorphic characters that usually get animated really poorly, done very, very well in this show.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, like, in terms of like keeping in mind, I kind of ranked this off personal bias and sort of gut feeling on how much I enjoyed the show. In a sense, like in a very broad sense, I say as a caveat.
If I remember correctly, you were wanting to keep this actually in the B rank. I think I had to fight for it to get up to A.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. But when I was comparing it to some of the other shows here, I was like, okay, well, this just kind of like was where it sat in terms of my enthusiasm to watch the show, comparatively speaking. So it eked out some competition, which I'm sure we'll get to eventually, but it also just couldn't compete with some of the other stuff that pulled me in more, or made me more actively want to watch the show. And for that matter, I will give a little spoiler. There is something that didn't make it into like the A and S ranks, that's sitting at my number 4 slot. So just because something was maybe in the B tier doesn't mean it couldn't make our lists.
Oh, I might have to pull that out from the a thumbnail for that later then, because I only grabbed our A and S ranks on this list down here. So
Oh yeah, I probably should have given you the name of the show at least in advance.
it might have been spoilers, but it's not too hard for me to go up on the fly, especially when we're doing some other stuff on that one.
Yeah, maybe I'll shoot you the
yeah.
name as we go here so that you can pull it up while we're doing a trailer or something.
I can do it quick. Like, let's save it for when we get to 4, because even then, like we're gonna shuffle some stuff around in the final discussion. I feel like and that'll be a big thing.
Yeah,
but,
but we'll avoid the spoiler then for ourselves.
Thank you for the stretch, Lord Miller. I should get a good animation on that one. I've been going for a while there. Yeah, I think one of the reasons. Okay, Zetsu is not my number 10, but we'll get to mine in a second. Zetsu. Oh, okay. I like to fancy, but you're getting pelted over there. Zetsu is a show that if you are not only an old school animation fan, but and just in anime fan in general from that older audiences. I don't want to say the just references did so much, but the how many different things this show paid homage to.
Yeah, it wasn't the references so much as the homage. Yeah.
Yeah, everything from the Gundam missile animation, which It, the reason that was such a big deal was because nobody had a good way or had figured out a good way to animate missiles till around the Gundam era. And now we have that split fire that gives you the rolling arcs, that gives you all just so many little details and nods. Everything from was it Ponyo to Tiger Mask in this goddamn show. Some stuff that I learned from Yuki, some stuff I think she probably learned from me because I'm always pulling out all the old stuff. And on top of that, having somebody who grew up with the show that wasn't necessarily popular, and then having them inspire that, which was what our main character was, somebody who was obsessed with a show when she was younger that didn't do well, but was might have been well made and became kind of a cult classic that inspired her to do so much, which I can definitely appreciate those, especially with shows like the one she was a fan of that were, I was going to say bittersweet, but no, that was just a straight dark ending, just straight black style ending.
I think the Western equivalent would be kind of the way that um, the Black Cauldron has become a sort of cult classic in a very niche audience, but performed very poorly upon release.
Black Cauldron, I would also say Dark Crystal would be my personal preference on that one, but
Sure, yeah, also a good example.
I like to spot the weird shows I like that nobody else seems to hear about. Welcome to the internet. Most of us are doing this. That being said, the things that are keeping it back, there was some rushes on the story, some stuff that didn't quite make sense over here and there. I think was a big part keeping it back. Like this was a fairly big cast for how short of a show it was, and a lot of them mattered in a lot of important things. Like I think I mentioned it with the trailer too. Also, yes, spoiler heavy for anyone who didn't catch that earlier or didn't catch this in the VOD. We are going to go into some freaking heavy spoilers in this in series. How this changed that, and like I said, the trailer covers like mostly the first episode. Like how much time she spends in the real world is half of the first episode in the last 5 minutes of the last episode, pretty much. So having so much of that focus on there is very tight. But no, Zetsu, it's on my recommendation list, especially for older fans. I've just, there could have been a little bit. It needed a little bit more. It needed a little bit more to really kick it up. I can't tell you what that was off the top of my head, but it was just not quite there.
Yeah, and it's not fair to say that it didn't have polish, because it definitely had lots of polish.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it just might be a little bit too much of an animators and classic anime fans like show. This is a show made for people who like animation, who like anime, who like its history, who like the passion that goes into the franchises, not so much its development itself. This is not a technical show, realistically. This is trying to show what the passion for both animators and fans are in a series and how those two can meet up.
So, did this make your list at all? You don't have to reveal where it was if it did, but
Honestly, this was my hardest cut. Zetsu got cut for me. Like I even remember, like I was the one who pushed this show in its season, and I going through this list, looking at everything else next to it and what I did and did not like and what stuck with me the hardest. This was the show I was kind of like, nope, I had to cut it.
I mean, that's totally fair. You did try to go a little more objective on your top 10 than I did on mine. And I definitely see that there's a fair chance, a very likely chance, it'll end up getting pushed off the final list.
Yep. That being said, we're gonna go with my top 10. Digimon Beat Break. I wasn't promising. All right. Okay. Let's go through the trailer on this one. Yuki, you got it up yet?
Actually,
Oh.
that wasn't on the list of shows that you gave me.
It should have been. That was an S rank, wasn't it?
It wasn't in the list of S ranks you gave me. I only had
Or,
4
sorry, A
in that
rank.
list.
A rank. Yeah, there's 4 of that in
But I can pull it up real
Did,
quick. Give me a moment.
did I not put Digimon in an A ranks? I guess we both did that then.
Right?
Was that 2 seasons ago, or that was 2 seasons ago? So
You want the dub trailer?
Yes, we are gonna try to go dub on this. Okay, yeah, it was an A rank. I forgot to just put it on your list. My bad on that one. Although, to be fair, you were pretty overwhelmed with it, so I don't think you're gonna get to it either way.
Yeah,
Really?
I still had a lot to catch up on, and I was trying to kind of keep up with some of the new shows too.
Yeah.
Alright.
Oh, hold on. Let me. All right, we're good.
We're good.
Coming soon. Yeah. Uh, so once again, bias that I'm a shonen boy. I'm an old school Digimon fan. Beat Break does get around our list because it is a standalone series in a franchise, meaning it does not connect to any other stories, universes, worlds, other than the interdimensional like split multi-reality bullshit we all kind of met on. So as an original story, it does count as a new show. Do see this every so often. Another one that might pop up later is if it's a complete reboot, they also pop up on this list. But Digimon Beat Break. Once again, the animation on the majority of the show is fairly good. It has that great punk style, which I just kind of love on there too. We get so much of that clean anime style nowadays. The parts I really, really want to say bring this one above and beyond in a lot of stuff that us the Digimon franchise as a whole has kind of been going towards are the relations people have to their partners. It's if you're familiar with the Persona series at all, I don't know if you are, Yuki.
I have like a passing familiarity with it. I haven't actually played any of the games though.
Okay, now I can understand that. The very weird concept between I was going to say tamers, but I don't know if that's the correct. I don't know. I'm getting into the weeds. I'm getting into the weeds. Is between the humans and their Digimon partners. Is all Digimon are born from your. It's technically e-pulse, but your spirit, and the thing that really lets them the thing that lets them do in the show is all the Digimon partners are somewhat reflections of the person themselves. So while the main character, your main character here, it's like, oh, he's gonna be like the edgy boy because a bunch of stuff happened, but his partner's the ganky, hyperactive little kid. It's no, that's kind of his inner child. He's still young. He's trying to be better, but he still has all those impulses, and you see not only his partner kind of make him face that part of himself, but also kind of grows with it and accept that bits of you because let's face it, it's like everybody kind of has a part of themselves they probably don't like or that they're not too happy with, but you kind of got to learn to live with that part of you and accept it. And that is one of the things Digimon's kind of getting by in this one.
Or, don't and have it affect your life in horrible ways. That's also an option. A pretty popular one, actually.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's one of the things I want to go with. It's one, I think it's no, I think it's open on two. I think one of the first episodes one of the early episodes they have in this one is somebody whose Digimon is like a dark, like a young girl whose Digimon is a dark shadow that possesses people. And at first, it's like she's horrified and terrified, like this thing. It's like I hate you, I don't like you. But at the end, kind of learning to accept that darker little aspect of herself and kind of where that came from and what helped do that. And you know what? That's not. I was like, no, like yeah, there's some real horrible things in my life, but I'm going to accept this. It also lets her cut out the actual toxic parts of your life because even if you accept some of the bad things in your life, some stuff you do need to cut out too. You need to really take a look at that, talk to people, get some help. And that's what this show really has been featuring on is, hey, you lost your family. Like you can get help. You can't do everything alone too on that. The reason it's not ranking higher, it didn't make S rank, even though it's doing so many great things, though, is the the filler in this show has some structural problems. It's very much of they didn't bother to think it through too hard. It's like, no, I was going to go do this and I ran into this, but then this happened and then this happened and then what's the thing? It's always supposed to be and it's never supposed to be and you're never supposed to write a story with and then. It's supposed to be but or except or I forget. It's the Matt Stone, Trey Parker with like slogan. I forget what the heck they say on that one. Basically, you just
Hmm.
never want to have your story go and then things should happen for a reason because or but this happened
Yeah.
instead, and that's where it's losing out on that. It's also losing out because it's not done yet. I've said Digimon. It was the fall. It was yeah. It was at the tipped end of last of our yeah. It was in the fall season. It's still going. They're on the third core right now. But yeah, unfortunately, Yuki didn't catch too much of this, did you?
I actually didn't catch any of it. And it's not like I
Ooh.
dislike Digimon, but I just had too much else to watch.
There's so many shows, guys. So many shows. This is like,
And I knew for sure you'd be covering that one.
yeah. This is. I'm still watching this one like week to week, just because. Oh, that would be the last point I wanted to bring up on this one. This Digimon Beat Break is a um I would say American audience PG-13 for a movie score. This is a teenager and up. This is not meant for little kids. There are a lot of very dark concepts in this show.
Yeah,
And
it's more aimed at the people who grew up with Digimon than the younger, like, initial Digimon target demographic.
I would say that might be cutting it a little bit old at this point because of oh dear God, I grew up with Digimon. And this is still at a older teenager, maybe young 20s audience kind of bit. I'm only saying this because there is a character who um his arc was you're a it's if you're familiar with the Digimon card game at all, Commandramon, a dinosaur looking Digimon that's it looks like a small Agumon or a small dinosaur, only put it in military gear, give it an assault rifle, and let it turn invisible. They were
Huh.
using this for literal war crimes.
Oh, good.
I'm not being like figurative or trying to misuse that word. I mean, like, no, this is a leader we need taken out. Go in and kill him.
Yeah, I mean, Invisible Assassin, that tracks.
Yeah, and it's other stuff like that. That's just kind of like because the whole is trust me that entire episode was I don't want to be a weapon to kill anymore. And his partner very much like I don't want to do this with like I don't want to force you to do that either. Because he wanted out, they both wanted out, but it's like they'll just kill the partner and take the Digimon because they can do that too. But all right, so we have a rank 9. And so
All
up
right.
next, our 10s are softly here.
Next up, we have Clever Tests. So, this is another series that really captured those, like, old school anime vibes and feels, but brought to it, like, really top notch modern animation techniques.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Again, a really awesome brand new world, an original fantasy anime, something we really don't see all that often. Um, at least not this successfully, right?
Originally styled fantasy animation. This isn't just isekai with numbers and plates and all that. Because I swear, even
Yeah,
the raw fantasy doing you're shorthanding that a little too much nowadays, guys.
yeah. Just way too many of these worlds have nothing fleshing them out and are just like generic fantasy world number 5136. But this felt like it could have been a novel series or something like that, just as easily. And it really definitely stood out in its season. Um, like I really had no complaints about this show that really come to mind. I think the only reason it's not ranked higher is, again, I was just kind of like gut feeling on how much this show like really impacted me and really pulled me in and made me want to watch it week to week.
Oh, I was on the edge of my seat for this goddamn one. Um, okay, so little history for me. Probably the first show I recognized as actual anime and went out to seek that wasn't just like, oh, this is a weird, that's one of those style anime shows I like on Fox or something else, was probably Berserk. And dark fantasy has always kind of stuck with me like that. And just the like okay, I was gonna say it's, I think Clevitas kind of kicked it off because feel like every season we've had since this came out, we've had another dark fantasy show. uh Nothing quite as good as Clevitas though. Like, this show not only gave you good characters but gave you good world building, which is one of the things that pulls me in so much into series like
100%.
this.
I'm not gonna lie,
Mm,
I think when we get to like objectively ranking these things, this is a show that may actually go up the list.
yeah, just the amount of world building this show does, and the fact that world building is set to make the story itself. When you build a world and then set your story based around exploring that world itself, the characters, the pieces all tend to slot in so easily for the writing and let you do so much in it. And this definitely felt like that.
Also, it did a really good job of not falling into the trap of just making the entire show an exposition dump about the world that it's building. It
Yep.
did a great job of showing us the world rather than telling us about it.
Or showing us get blown up.
Yes.
Mm, but like he said, it's the animation quality. It's the main character isn't a hero style either, which is also an interesting taste of pace. The I wouldn't call them an antagonist either, but do I want even want to say protagonist?
It's there. I mean, it is dark fantasy, which does lend itself to a lot of these like really murky gray areas.
But just through the eyes of, well, Clevitas is our main character, and what they are as exploring and experiencing the world is so good. I'm going to be gushing for a lot of these shows, guys. These are like the best out of a year of like 100+ shows. I liked almost all of these extremely well.
We're probably
Like, the worst,
closer to pushing 200 shows.
I don't quite want to say that because we cut a lot out of the list that aren't airing, and then we do let the other one, each other, kind of capo on that one. But all right, you got anything else to say about Clevitas, Yuki?
No, I think that's probably enough for this. Like, there, I want to, I guess, mention the intrigue in the show because there definitely were a lot of twists, and a lot of times when it suddenly became apparent that like the you kind of alluded to this earlier, but like the what we prescribe to the character as being their sort of role as like a hero or villain or what have you was frequently called into question. And sometimes that meant that the character themselves was confronted with knowledge that made them question to themselves whether or not that their actions were in line with what they thought they were. And I think that's the hallmark of a really well written and developed show.
Yep. Okay, then. Which, like I said, we would try not to do two spoilers when we can, but yeah. All right, my number 9, Norinko, or A Ninja and Assassin Under One Roof.
This may very well have been our top comedy of the year.
I'm
Like
trying
in
to look at
terms
the
of
rest of this
straight
list.
comedies.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other straight comedies. Which I think I've discussed before. Comedies have a hard time keeping with me, because you need to have world building or story a lot of the time for me. This kind of had both, weirdly enough,
Oh yeah.
and now on top of that, once again, modern day setting. So like this, I should not have liked this as much as I did. That's part of the reason I probably pushed for it and liked it as much as I or put it on my top 10. This show surprised you left and right, was had a deliciously dark sense of humor with everything it did into a black comedy levels. Love to create crazy designs to immediately get rid of them, and always kept you on your feet. It did not settle for a gag status quo.
Yeah, it was
Things were
not a one
shifting in this
gag
all the time.
wonder like we so often see.
It's like, oh, we're gonna base our entire show around this gag. It's no. It's this is going good. That and all the characters were so entertaining. Like
The expressions were
the
also amazing.
yeah, which probably helped so much on the. It's like a little piece of me is like dragging wants to drag this up, but it's like no, you were here for reasons.
Well, actually, quick spoilers. This hit in at my rank 8, which I'll say only because it would have been the next one anyway.
Okay, so yeah, if you want to talk about this because you're gonna bail into that a bit too, then.
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, it never hurts for there to be a Yuri element to get a couple extra bonus points for me. And that
Yay.
show certainly had this this show certainly had that in spades. But there was just so much more to it. Like, the animation was, like, shockingly well done. Like, when I heard what the premise of this show was, I was not expecting it to be, like, S or A tier animation budget. But they certainly just went ham on it. You could tell that the animators had a really good time. You could tell that everyone involved was really passionate with the project. And
I think that was more skill because while like the animation hit real hard a lot of points, there was also a lot of cheap animation gags. Like in like a good chunk of the episode might even be like stupid still frames with them jumping around for 5 or 6 minutes.
I mean, you're not wrong, but I think I need to point out that a lot of the show is also kind of satire around its sort of subgenres. And so, in some senses, part of the comedy in those scenes was the way that it was lampooning other shows that lack its animation budget.
Yeah, no, it's always a good shot. This is I know like Trigger Studios of I feel like the kings of doing that. It's like, oh, this is gonna be really choppily, poorly animated, but look amazing.
Yeah? You can sell things much better with still frames if you're willing to exaggerate those still frames in the right way, rather than just have them be like perfect on model shots. And I think that gets missed a lot by a lot of studios.
Yep.
And I think also that's a hallmark of, like, you can tell when they do something like that with intent because they do that, versus when they just ran out of budget to do the in-between frames and had, like, the keyframes done and just rolled with those.
Yeah, but once again, it's not only just the crazy animation, the story was good, and what this is a gag one. And probably the best part about this is the personalities of all the characters and how well they do bounce off each other in this black comedy.
Oh yes,
Like,
this is extremely character driven.
like just in the trailer there, it's like, how'd you find my school? I followed the scent of your underwear. Everyone's like, Fred behind her. Oh, it's like, you know, at the same point with me, it's like, the fuck? And this just like not everything hits, but it also doesn't do a joke a goddamn minute. It's not a was it Chamomilion or Chamomillion, whatever the hell that show is. That's just like, and you won't you won't have enough time to think about anything. Here's more fun stuff. Laugh. This show breathes. This so freaking makes you cry and feel at some points too. Which what the hell?
Oh yeah, yeah. It definitely displayed a lot of mastery.
Yeah, which if we get more seasons of that, this is going to be on my going to watch list. I'm gonna bump that up now. But
Fair enough.
anything else to say, Yuki?
No, I think I'm pretty good there.
So I guess we'll go on to my number 8 then.
Sounds like a plan.
Which is Anne Shirley. Weird because they paid for that licensing on this one. Okay,
What
so I don't
is
think
that really how long it was? Okay, so
30
the rest of
seconds.
it's
So
just padding.
okay, yep. Not too much. Okay, so this one's a bit. I don't think you watched too much of this one either, Yuki, right?
So in post, when I knew that we were looking at it as one of our kind of top 10 list items, I did catch the first maybe 3 or 4 episodes or something like that. But yeah, I definitely wasn't watching this one in real time.
Okay. So once again, this is why I brought in our reboot policy because this is the second anime of this show and like one of couple a couple live action reboots.
Is it
Because
only
this
the second
is
one? Could have sworn there was more anime versions of it than that.
okay. Here's the thing. I think the anime version of this were one telling because of the Green Gable novels, which this is based off of, are a very long series.
Hmm.
So that might have been one of those OVA styles, like we're just gonna make more episodes. We're just gonna make more episodes. We're just gonna make more. Okay. Um, which I admittedly I didn't keep up past like the first season of this one, but I know a good chunk of the story on that already, and it's it's a good adaptation is the biggest thing there. It's an amazingly I don't want to say amazingly, but it's well animated. Everything feels smooth on that end. Um,
Hmm. So, okay, from the amount that I watched, right, which I wanted to at least make sure to watch enough of it to be able to speak to the animation portion, I would say that the backgrounds were its strongest component, animation-wise. We had a lot of really detailed, kind of painted backgrounds that went really hard on, like, making sure that they captured all of these, like, flowers and things like that. But the actual character animations were pretty mid-range, I would say. They weren't bad, but they weren't top end,
Ghibli.
I would say either. Yeah, like they were trying to go for a little bit of that Ghibli feel, but it definitely didn't have that Ghibli quality.
Nope, it did not there. But once again, like I said, it was like I said, that's why I tried to say smooth and like you said, the backgrounds were amazing on the show. Um, the other thing I really wanted to point out with this one is the Green Gable novels. While most people might not have heard of those because they are a modern day big thing, which I think was the reason why this reboot is so good. But for the time they came out in, which was the early 1900s, I believe at this point, because if I remember correctly, this was the writer of the book set this just before their time. Like this is supposed to be right around that Industrial Revolution era, and we
Sounds
are
about right.
what
That would put
we
it
are
right about the right time for it to be a public domain work as well.
maybe which I I hate to say just a strong independent woman style show, but it really is one of the earliest adaptations of that taking a kind of series taking off and doing well. It helped inspired a lot. Like when I brought this up, like my grandmother's eyes are the ones like lit up, like talking about stuff like that. And she's like, "Oh, I love that series. Remember watching it and reading it as a little girl." It's like, okay, this is as old. This is as old and popular as that, and really does help define that like independence and not kind of what you're going for. It's like we're generally on a low end person to person basis pretty bad with that, despite what the fucking chuds would have you believe. Um, I hate the discourse, and I love to bitch about it realistically, but this is a good style character, and it's a good adaptation of a, I don't want to say premiere book, but a very influential book and very well received series, especially in its time. Um, and that's kind of why I pulled it up on here. All right,
That's
Yuki, what
fair.
do we got
For me
next? Or what's
personally, I
your?
think the fact that it was based off of a like such a widely adapted work kind of made it lose points for me. But it's fair to have either perspective on that. I think.
Yeah, I think it would have done more for me if there was been any more modern ones, but like even like the newest anime are like from the 60s and 70s. I don't think, no, not quite the 60s. I think it's like the 80s is maybe where they're from. So if the adaptation's older than I am, or like the previous series, it's like, yeah, it might need a reboot at this point.
Fair enough. All right. Next up for me, coming in at number 7, we have With You, Our Love Will Make It Through. So I think we're living in a time where, I mean, it's always been relevant, but it's become again very relevant for there to be stories about dealing with prejudice. Um, and and how that kind of affects society, and how we overcome that, and um how we as a world and a people manage to come together in the face of that. um but also, this is just a really, really strong romance show. Not gonna lie that this one definitely brought some tears to my eyes at times. Um, and we just saw a really, really good connection between the characters. There was so much chemistry. Um, and it was really refreshing to see the way that the male leads interacted with each other as well. You don't usually get to see, like, usually the non-lead characters fall into one of two categories. Either they're just support cast that are there to not make any waves and just like boost up the main character, or they're like staunch rivals that are fighting for the affection of the main character slash part of their harem.
Yeah.
um but it was genuinely really refreshing to see these two characters, um who are rivals in love, also be friends with each other and have their own relationship between one another that blossomed not purely in spite of the relationship, the primary relationship that they have with the female lead, but in some ways also because of it. Um, and likewise, there was a certain, like, it played on both sides, right? There was also sort of that rival character set up with the cat girl, and the relationship that she ended up having with the female lead was also very refreshing.
Yep, on that one. It's okay, so on the plus side, I'm sorry, everyone's like, you might be wondering, like, what do you mean race opinion? It's something that the furry shows have, especially if you've seen Zootopia or if you've watched BNA, if you're a little bit more nerdy on that end. The shows like this let you dig into those deeper cultural wounds without trying to call out a specific group or style, but still have those themes, since you can get through a lot of the furry, um or I shouldn't say, you can gleam at a certain style of furry character and understand what kind of things they are. If you see a lion,
Archetypes.
you're, yeah, archetypes. If you see a lion, oh, he's going to be like the proud, boastful guy. See a deer, he's going to be generally kind of a leader. If you see a wolf, he might be a little bit vicious. But at the same point, it also lets to subvert those from those archetypes as well, and let you like, oh, this is going to be this character. Oh, no, I guess I shouldn't have jumped to that conclusion, and really lets you dig into that part, which is something I think a few shows are starting to get on. I think after the stupid success of Zootopia, we might see a few more of those. The furry community grows.
They are legion. Join them.
Yep. And that was one so much on the show let you do, because it lets you see that prejudice, lets you see all of that, but doesn't like you. It's like, oh, they're calling out these guys again. I don't really like to see or let you feel uncomfortable about that. It's well, I guess you do have to feel a little bit uncomfortable about a girl getting really hot and bothered by a sexy wolf boy, but
You know, I will say, like, the sexual chemistry in this show was very next level as well. Like, this was a show that had no nudity, but managed to be one of the, like, sexiest shows in the entire year.
yeah, I remember the Twitter and the other posts that were just go like, whoa. Um, which once again, I do kind of like that as well. Just not just for the humor aspect on that one, but teenagers are horny. Let's get that all straight. It's like whatever you want to say about the show Big Mouth or a bunch of other shows that just, it's like, yes, they are like that. That is how most of them think a lot of the time. It's like you are full of raging hormones and oh, that looks hot. Is a thought pattern. But and it was pretty well. I don't think there's any show on here I'm going to say that's poorly animated. There's definitely some weird animation we're gonna probably talk about with a couple of these. But
Yeah, no,
man,
it
there
definitely
is
was well animated. It had a style that suited the show. And again, we saw in this show another one where the furry characters were surprisingly well animated. Like, they really usually get the bad end of the stick and just have, like, horrible flapping jaw syndrome. Um, but,
with villain characters, they tend to get the dick nose or sausage nose, as people like to call them a lot of time in their character models. You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?
I am confused, to be honest.
Okay, so with especially you've seen like especially in CGI and a lot of other furry design characters in the communities and stuff. It's styles and trends do emerge, but the problem is if you get animators and stuff who don't know how to put those characters into human shapes too well, they can do a lot of things. What a lot of animators like to do with dogs, especially or wolves, is instead of giving them a whole snout, what they'll do is they'll give them a human face and a long cylindrical nose sticking out
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
instead of like, no, it's like, but having the full jaw means that's a lot of animation or we can't quite get that to look right.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see it as much anymore, but I know in like the early 2000s and the 90s especially, that was a problem. A lot of furry design characters did have. But all right, I think I've said all my piece on that one. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think I'm pretty good there.
All right, now up for my number 7, which would be Sanda.
Sanda.
All right. So one of the biggest things that really made me put this on in this list and drew me to it was anime is supposed to be over the top crazy and absolutely balls to the walls, batshit insane.
It definitely
This,
had that.
yes, this show was that classic thing. Even its premise, which is the oh, there's an evil headmaster, or, kind of oppressing the children or doing some shady shit behind the stuff, is a very old school anime storyline that we used to be very common. That being said, on the top on the just how crazy they go within the show with the and oh, I'm trying to describe insanity cranked up, and I'm struggling on that end. So the very premise of this whole thing is, kids are very important in Japan. Low birth rates are a big problem in a lot of places right now, Japan especially. And things go so bad that it's like, no, kids are kept in a private school, but there's shady stuff going on, and the main character has the power to turn into Santa Claus and all the power Santa Claus possesses. And
Not just any Santa Claus, buff Santa Claus.
yeah, okay, so yeah, that might be. I don't know. I read comics, and the Santas we get in comics tend to be Santa the Barbarian style. So buff Santa isn't too unusual for me. Um, but going into like a lot of that stuff, and even kind of what it means to be a kid on the sides of this, which that's also an important thing. It's like, don't be in a rush to grow up. Like, be fun, have a life as a kid. It's like there's a lot of good stuff you can never do again. It's which I really do like that message as well. And it just so much. Oh, so I think this was the show that was made by the guy who did B Stars as well, or another the girl, a woman. If remember,
Maybe. I feel like you might have mentioned that back when we were in season for the show.
yeah, I feel like that was it. Who I've really enjoyed this character, this writer's stories and stuff like that. Um, but once again, such an over the top, interesting premise. Just there, all of the characters are shit insane.
Also, very highly stylized character models, and again, just very, very strong action.
Yep,
You're gonna get plenty of Sakuga here.
oh yeah, and on top of that, the twist they get to, because it's like, oh, it's a slightly futuristic, but not like we're talking maybe 50 years in the future kind of style. But the twists on society that they don't explain to you, that when they get revealed, get to be so crazy. The fact that like children can literally get away with murder and other stuff like that are absolute and joyous, and the lengths people go to look forever young or not old at the very least. It's so crazy, and I loved every aspect on that one. Yuki, did you? Once again, I feel like a handful of my shows are stuff you didn't get to watch.
Yeah, in a lot of cases. I was trying to catch up on this one a little bit, so I did, like, I'd watched a couple episodes of it back during the season, and I think I got up to around not level, episode, like, 6-ish, trying to catch up a bit. But I certainly didn't watch enough to be able to catch the ending and really know how it all played out. Go ahead.
Cliffhanger ending on this season. I don't believe there's been another season. It hasn't popped up in my Amazon show, and Amazon is really bad about updating you on the shows you like to get updated, it feels like.
Yeah, for sure.
Also the worst subtitles too. Yeah. But this show, like I said, it's the premise of student turns into Santa after getting stabbed because classmate wanted to see if he would turn into Santa to help find missing person. There's like I said, it starts there and then just goes crazier. It doesn't slow down or lay off. It just keeps going crazier.
So this one didn't actually make my list, but I don't necessarily disagree with it being on the list. When we're talking about like objective levels of quality, it's probably something that is at very least a contender.
Yep. All right. I think we're gonna go on my side. What do you have for your number 6, Yuki?
All right. Next up, I have at number 6, Apocalypse Hotel. I would go for that. There it is. This show truly just has everything.
Oh yeah.
And I mean that in the sense that it's genre spanning. You will be crying at one moment and dying of laughter another as it goes completely off the rails and then brings you right back around to something incredibly somber. Um, and then there's also these incredible moments, if you're familiar with the concept of Ma, of just nature and natural beauty, and just kind of letting that sink in. And the juxtaposition of how the fate of humanity plays into that, and how these last remaining vestiges left behind are the only thing not natural, but still blending with nature in their own way. Um, yeah, this was definitely one of the most emotional shows of the year. Um, and like, if not for the fact that there were a couple of certain other shows that were just impossible sucker punches, it probably would have been the top in that category.
Yeah.
Did you have anything you wanted to say about it after having binged it?
Okay, yeah. So the one thing I will definitely say, it's the first episode is going to be the hardest to watch, especially in how the world currently feels and is for a lot of people, and that
Mm-hmm.
utter hopelessness that's kind of just going on.
Yeah.
Um, that being said, it does get a lot better than that shortly after that first episode, and does go a lot of crazy and fun twists throughout that. Um, just seeing the sheer perseverance of the characters in the show and how they feel, and even as something as innocuous as a robot that just wants to open the door, and how they can change over time too. Not as much, but in this particular one, but he got his funny little hat now.
I think it's fair to say that it layers in some of the Japanese tendency to anthropomorphize objects, and the the like Shintoism quality of assigning a soul and a spirit even to things that might not otherwise be considered to have one.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely in there on that. And that being said, this a few of these shows I can talk about, and like why I love it. Like this is just a phenomenal journey of a show. This is also a finished show, I should say. Most of these aren't, and still either more seasons to come, or had minor things going on. Apocalypse Hotel is I, I don't want them to make more. Like, this was a beautiful 12 episodes. It should be left as is overall. It's like, just from how good its journey is and the possibilities that, like, even the future, like, because it doesn't end on a, this is done. This is just kind of a event happens, and you kind of get to see the characters grow, evolve from that. And while this is a massive thing happening, this is not the end all be all of what's going on. This is just a major milestone.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that um, while there's not like a hook there for like a lead in to another series, it is left open ended in the this is life and life goes on kind of sense.
Yep, which it's a little piece of me wants to like put. Okay, actually, I should probably say this now. This is also my rank 6 too, by the way.
Oh, okay. I was
A
going to
little
ask if
piece
it
of
made
me,
your list.
yeah, a little piece of me wants to pull this higher, but I also know what's on my list and where this stands. This is a phenomenal fucking show. I recommend everything on this list. This is one I'm going to be pushing for quite a while on a lot of people I know.
I'm very glad you got the opportunity to actually catch up and watch it.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's unless I start breaking down the episodes of the show, I don't think I have anything else to say
Add
on that.
there. All right, fair
Yeah.
enough. All right. Well, in that case, I guess we'll move on to my number 5, which is Tacopi's original sin.
Oh, this is.
Alright, I have to give the same caveat that we gave when we were talking about this show previously. If you are not in a good emotional space, please, please take it under advisory. Do not watch this show. This show is the darkest show I have ever seen. And it will destroy your emotional space horrifically. Even if you're in a good place, you may find yourself in a bad place after watching this show.
Let's take account of the story of when we first did our season inspection. I decided I want to watch the first episodes on this one. We had to take it to the delay just because I needed to recover from that. I don't think I've ever watched something quite as emotionally heavy as this freaking show. Like Grave of the Fireflies, or basically think of the darkest stuff. Like, I don't want to swear at this show.
This show is child emotional trauma to the absolute max, cranked up past 11.
And the other thing I want to say if you can handle that, if you don't, or if you think you can handle that, even I would say try episode 1 if on that one, because this show it comes with that big asterisk, that big caveat, but my god, is this show just something. Like, being entertainment in media is supposed to make you feel emotion. It's supposed to make you either feel like the characters or feel their strife, or it's there for emotional resonance. This show just takes your heart and rips it out of your chest.
I was still traumatized and crying from the first episode hours after I watched it. In fact, it was still coming back on me days later.
Even watching the trailer was a bit heavy there to me, honestly.
Yeah? I mean, well, only because we have the knowledge we do of the show, I think, but yeah.
No, that's what I was going to say. It's like, once you've watched this show, this makes you feel this. Unless you're somebody who doesn't care about cartoon, like, oh, it's animation, that's dumb cartoon kid stuff. This show is heavy.
Okay, here's the
best ways.
The spoiler that I will give for this show, and content warning here, even for the spoiler. There is a character that unalives themselves using the literal unbreakable ribbon of friendship.
Oh, it's in the fucking thumbnail I got. Oh my god. Ah!
Yeah. So yes, again, like, not just on the emotional side, but content warning in the show, it deals with the darkest of themes. And so if you're anyone who has any kind of triggers, please don't watch it. But if you can watch this show, please do. It is truly an artistic masterpiece in the most genuine sense of the term.
Yeah, this was one of the 4 S ranks we made out of last year. And yeah, it definitely deserved that.
And honestly, I would probably be putting the show even higher if it weren't just such an incredibly difficult watch.
Yeah, it's on my list. It's a bit higher. We'll get there when we get there at that point. But
all right.
Okay. On to my 5, which would be To Be Hero X.
I know it's on here. There we go.
Come on, mouse is getting a little bad on me.
So, animation-wise, this was interesting. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of the primary style of the show, and do kind of wished one of the secondary styles was the primary style. But I do think it was very cool how they had different animation styles, and like we saw in the trailer here, would often dynamically switch between them mid scene in a very, very smooth and polished way. Uh, and in a way that also uh, sort of factored into like the plot and themes of the show. Um, like which animation style you were in was tied to what was happening in the scene.
Okay, so you didn't watch too much of the show, did you?
No, I didn't get terribly far in it, so you're definitely taking the lead in this one.
Okay, so the animation style the 3D CGI style is primarily used in the first and last arc of the show.
Ah,
The
interesting.
other the other 18 episodes are done in traditional 2D style for the most
Aha.
part. Okay, so To Be Hero X is a very interesting show for two major reasons. Besides switching between that animation style, which is actually the power of the titular Hero X. He snaps his fingers and switches animation styles is his power.
Aha.
Um, so every time you see the switch happen on screen, you will actually hear him snap his fingers somewhere in the show if it's happening. When it was in the first arc of the show, when it's happening, it's him supporting the main character, actually,
I see.
which is a very interesting concept they did there. The other thing I would say about this show is it follows a story structure similar to Durarara, if you've seen that franchise,
Yes. Quite good.
which, yep, which is one of the hardest things to do because for those who have not seen it, that style of storytelling does not follow one character. It follows stories happening in a world that overall overarching coincide with each other into a main plot line.
Odd Taxi
And
would be another more recent example.
did Yeah, okay, I will give you that one. I was thinking of the longer format, but I think a few of them might have gotten five, but every four episodes you will pivot in time, place, and character focus. Sometimes you will see characters that do not have anything related to what just happened, or we might be flung back in. Oh, I think the biggest time gap we had was 10 years, 15 years, maybe. No, it might have been 20 because some of that might have happened in there. Yeah. Sorry, just trying to think of it overall. And everything that happens in that going to build to the final arc of the show is so good. The other bits this does is once again, the show introducing characters and story through world building is such a monotonous like I said, it's like I this is my favorite way to build a character and story is build the world, then set into motion the events happening in the world, then build those characters around that, and then everything that happens should flow naturally. You as a writer, it should introduce stuff to change things up, and those become your plot lines. On the top of that, all of the characters' powers, abilities, and drives, while most of them do have the drive to be Hero X overall, it's also how their powers work in this franchise. Every character's power is based on their roughly social credit score or popularity. The thing that can really change that, though, is not only do you get your power from the people, but it can affect how your powers work or how you can use them. Two of the best examples that they do right off the bat to show you this is a um weird one on that chat message. One of the craziest things it does show is, oh, this character is called Nice, and his thing is everyone thinks he's perfect and just a pretty boy and can do no wrong, and it gives him horrible OCD because, oh, this is a stain that's out of place. I'm not perfect, and more along the lines of, but basically it seems like that's why he unalives himself at one point. Also very dark, very dark and adult. This is a 18 plus series. Um, but at that point didn't make it through.
And
But then
also
you
some
have
trigger warnings.
oh yeah, but then you also have the hero. I think I can't remember what it was, but a firefighter who got notoriety for holding the door, always standing tall. Became incredibly strong, durable, but also lost the ability to bend his legs roughly, could not sit or lay down, which was very problematic for him in very several things. I think one of the things they did for power changing was, oh, this is the character that's the girlfriend of Nice. Her power lets you teleport around. People started, fans thinking, oh, she must use that to teleport to him all the time or whenever she wants to. She lost the ability to teleport because of that, and could only ever teleport directly to him.
Mm.
They actually had to get somebody go on like, no, let her be free, let her live her own life, and through that concept, she was able to teleport around again. On the same aspect, we also deal with in what these heroes mean to people and what that political pressure and drive and holding people up on these pedestals, no matter how bad of a person or how maligned of a kind of a being they are, can really be. It's like, can we hold somebody to the upteenth degree and give them such things that we revere them as a god? And what happens if that god is fallible in the end? Which plays a bigger story in the world building they do later on. And just every arc goes to that. Even if you find a character or arc that you do not like, the next one will be better or show some crazy things off. This isn't finished. I think if it would have been, I probably would have put it a little higher on my list. But there's currently 2 cores out for this one. Core being 12 episodes. I probably should have said that at some point. And it does leave off on quite an interesting cliffhanger that I am very, very keen on seeing finished. Do not cancel this show. Billy, Crunchyroll, I don't know whoever else is Aniplex. Do more. I want more of this, please. I'm guessing this didn't even make your list again, Yuki.
Correct. This one did not make my list.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Okay. I think 4 you said was a unique one for you that wasn't on our A or Bs, our ARSs.
Correct, yes. So coming in at number 4 for me was a outside dark horse. There's no freaking way I'll be your lover unless. So when I was making my list, I was doing that kind of acid test of like looking at what were the shows that I was the most actively excited to actually like watch in the past year. And when I thought about that, this one was like right at the very top of the list for me. So although we only actually gave the show a B rank because the audience is a little niche, and frankly, while the animation's okay, it doesn't really compete with a lot of, or really almost anything else on this list in terms of its objective animation quality. I do have to give it points for the fact that it had a realistic depiction of a type of relationship that would usually just be kind of written off as like a Yuri harem. But in this case, it really wasn't, because it wasn't solely focused around one character. All of these characters have very unique and dynamic interactions with each other, and they are all forming their own independent relationships with all the characters, as well as our central protagonist, who is, in some cases unwittingly, helping kind of bring everyone in this group closer. So I had to give it a certain amount of points for kind of treading new ground there and doing things that we hadn't really seen done before in a serious way, um, rather than just being a, like fan service slop or something like that, right?
Yep.
Um, did you end up watching any of the show? I don't recall.
I think I caught like the first 3 episodes of it, but honestly, when you just told me the title, I couldn't even. I heard the title, I looked at the thumbnail, and I was like, "What?" I couldn't even remember what show it was. And like when the
Yeah,
trailer clicked on, it's like, "Oh, it's this one now." And then the memory started resurfacing.
yeah, it is
But
kind of aggressively not your kind of show, so that's very understandable. And again, that was part of the reason why we ranked it a little lower. It is a little more niche. But if I'm looking at things from a biased perspective, I definitely had a very strong bias towards this show. And for me personally, it was definitely something I was extremely excited to watch on a weekly basis.
no, that's kind of why we're doing the dual lists and then the central list at the end of this. It's also why I do try to wanting to get you as a co-host, because there are balancing stuff for like high quality shows, especially shows that do hit you like this. It can be important to get a different perspective too.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we do try to cover everything here with as much respect as it should get. There are a couple shows that we should just I feel like but that's here nor there. That's when we get there. Unfortunately, like I said, it's like this like aggressively not my kind of show with the bias on that one, and I don't really have much to say. Like I barely remember this show. It's kind of barely on my radar.
Understandable. It is very inter-character romance driven, which is definitely not your forte.
Yeah, I tend to be in though I am an romantic person, so this is something I can understand but don't necessarily feel. So
All right. Where are we at with your number four?
my number 4 is actually what the heck? Why is it no? Oh, because Necro. My number 4 was actually Clevitas.
That's totally fair. And as I
Like
said,
I said,
I think objectively that show deserved to be ranked a lot higher than I ranked it.
yeah, this was once again one of our S ranks. I think I said a lot before on dark fantasy happens to be like one. It's not one of like it's not the first anime or the shows that got me into anime, but that's the genre like when I first recognized what anime was. I got into, and that does kind of put it in a good place for me. Once again, Clevitas. We've kind of gone over it a little bit, but once again, it's such a well done world building show. Like I said before, really puts it in a really high spot for me. Like you give me good world building, you give me the lore to sink onto, I'm gonna love it. That's also why I do a YouTube. We're trying to get a YouTube series. I'm doing a YouTube series based around lore. The first part of the Ninjago lore is out on the YouTube channel. Go watch it.
I'm
Yuki's also
also a
there.
guest on that.
Yeah.
And I'm also here.
Yuki likes to placate me and my weird, crazy whims.
All right. Well, I guess in
Uh,
that case, we'll be moving on to my number three, which is Dusk Beyond the End of the World. All right. Well, I think we're, for one thing, at a place we'll notice with a couple of these series where AI and things of that nature are kind of a hot topic, and that sort of factors into these kinds of shows too. But for me, this was really more okay. We've got really top class animation, a show that's maybe a tiny bit underrated, and we've got again some really interesting takes on relationships and like looking at those through the lens of the alternate culture of the future. Um, and we've got again a lot of these really strong interpersonal connections that are very interesting, but also some incredible mysteries that unfold as like twists and turns through the series, and that crazy first episode that was like a full feature length film, I think. and then suddenly you're thrust into this like entirely different scenario that had like nothing to do with the first episode for quite a while.
Yeah.
It was, if nothing else, incredibly bold. Did you have anything to throw in on this one?
Okay, so it's episode 0 was only 20 minutes. Like they didn't have an hour longs on this one.
Really? I thought I remembered it being longer than that.
I pulled it up to double check on that one because I wasn't quite sure on that one. But yeah, no, that's I think because they let most of the episodes lead into each other, it might have felt like that. But that was only a 20-minute. No, once again, another series that is finished. So once you watch this, it is done. Um, Honestly, the ones like I said, I keep saying I love world building, I love story. The mystery was good. I think they dropped the ball on how they told that one a little bit on this one, though. I
That's fair. Go
like
ahead.
a lot of the stuff that they really wanted to tell. That first episode almost feels like it should have been a second or possibly even a little bit later with what we had revealed. I enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed the characters. Um, but this show, I did so much good. It I don't want to say it needed an editor. Once again, we were looking at it after the fact, so easier to tell what they should have done.
It had room for improvement, though, for sure. It
And
could
I
have been
think
an even better show than it was.
because I think we only gave this one an A rank, and I think that was part of the reason it did. It needed just a little touch up here, just a little bit more there, and I think this would have been a phenomenal show. But the first episode into the second, which drastically changed stuff up, was I initially did enjoy that, but finding out where it goes and what the later twists in the series are, I feel like made that feel more disappointing. This is one of those shows where I look back on some stuff and like, oh, I don't like this as much now here.
I feel like they were trying to give us the tools to unravel the mystery ahead of time, but they kind of front loaded it too much. I do agree that, like, it could have been told better, even through, like, flashbacks or something, later, maybe. But
And I remember its second or first arc out of the gate being kind of fillery was the problem I had there with the mob boss.
the mob boss. um, you're talking about the whole incest marriage subplot there.
Yeah, like that was. I want to say it's odd for like that was the. It's just the whole thing in general felt odd, and I don't remember it like connecting anything to the story later. Was the biggest problem I think I had with that too. I don't remember it
It did a
building.
little bit, but and it was like it set up for the main character to be injured, which turned into a major driving plot point.
Okay, I think I okay, this one did actually make my list.
Fair enough.
Yeah, which I think that's about all I have to say on that one without just going into heavy spoilers everywhere, absolutely everywhere on it.
All right. Well, in that case, I think we're at your number 3 now.
Uh, Kowloon Generic Romance is my number 3. Okay, I know you didn't catch this when we watched in the season. I thought you heard you were. I recommended watching this one later on, but I don't know how far you got in it.
Yeah, I was powering through as much as I could right up until the last minute here. I think I got it around like episode 8 or 9.
Okay, so you probably the final couple twists are okay. So this on paper looks like the show I should bounce off of incredibly hard. I don't know what kept me going on it initially on its pull. It might have to do with something about it having that retro 90s style, kind of 80s style animation to it a lot.
or
But
design at least. Yeah, like it really was
yeah,
evocative of that earlier era of anime.
yeah. As far as shows go, it says generic role, but yeah, nothing. It's a very interesting title they went with this one
Well,
because
spoilers, the generic is a proper noun from the show.
was it
Yes. So
okay.
specifically, with respect to the female protagonist, um, when they were talking about like the Zirconians and stuff like that, she was labeled as a generic.
Okay, I might have missed that little bit then. Okay, but the once again, this is a bit kind of okay because I'm having trouble talking about this because its themes are while the romance of the story is the initial big drive of it, it turns more into a mystery and then more into
Like a
oh
sci-fi philosophical mystery.
yeah, I think that's a good way to put it because this is a show that very like it's but okay, so this show's biggest question is what are you as a person? What kind of like how do you think you should look? How do you think you should feel? What do
What
you think you
defines a
should
human being?
yeah, or even once you define your that it's like how do you define yourself?
Hmm.
This show probably has some of the deepest gender and self-worth questions I've seen in an anime. Um,
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, there was a character that I initially thought, like, I strongly suspected that they were trans, and then I think it turned out that they weren't, as far as I could tell. But that's not to say that the show didn't have, like, a an intersex character, and LGBTQIA plus relationships, and just all kinds of stuff going on.
well, okay, so the besides the main character who's oh the twist on that person, I do not want to spoil that one. But the three big characters that really matter on this for that identity are there's a character that's hermaphrodite, I believe, that's becomes male coded more along it's that one's the more questiony bits there.
In this case, intersex would be the preferred term.
Okay. That you have a character that was very much um yeah, okay, let me say that one for you had a character who completely redid their look, their style, and everything about themselves so they did not just become a representation of their mother. Yeah, the blonde in that trailer was not a natural blonde. It did not look like that to begin with. Not even I felt ugly and I wanted to become beautiful. It's like I didn't want to be her, so I became me.
Yeah, and that transformative journey that they kept alluding to for her, like that is definitely I will say the character that I had initially pegged as potentially being trans because it was so heavy with those themes around her.
Yep. There is actually a trans character kind of in this show too, which
Interesting.
I think was going to be one of the final twists of it. I believe in the end.
So I didn't quite get to that one then.
Well, okay, so the really young looking okay, I will spoil this one in there just because this one I think matters the most for this kind of character. The pink, cute looking girl.
A really small one that the other character was like following with the magnifying glasses and being like, "Wow, I really love Lolita fashion."
Yeah. That character, that like the really like buff looking like um person that was following her that said he really liked that style.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was also her.
Also her. Interesting.
Yeah, that's so the story of that character is that's actually a man who was felt better as a woman, but got to the other side of puberty and turned into a hulking brute of a guy.
Huh. Interesting. So,
It's
I yeah, it would probably be even more spoilers to understand how that works, given what I do know of the premise of how characters are allowed to exist within that city.
yeah, so it's very kind of concept, and it's this character kind of comes back, sees themselves as they were back then, and sees themselves like truly happy, and it's like kind of decides, no, I'm going to. Well, it's the funny thing is yeah, pronouns are weird on that one. Just because
Whatever they want to be on the inside is the appropriate pronoun, generally speaking.
okay, because one of them it's kind of coming to accept that it's like, no, I want to be a cute girl kind of thing again.
Hmm.
Um, kind of meets up with the blonde who had all the surgery done. It's like this is you can change who you are. You don't just have to accept that. And kind of has a big arc in that. And so much of this story is kind of going on about that and what that means as a person or other stuff like that.
Okay, very interesting like, I caught on to those themes, but didn't quite apply them correctly, I guess.
That's kind of where I was like hoping you could get towards the back end of this. You are like I'm not as in depth into that community as you are, and you were could explain it and talk about that a lot better than I am because I am trying not to like get a lot of stuff wrong that this show felt like it did right.
Hmm.
And there are a lot of interesting concepts that played with like I said, personalities, goals, and what kind of person you are.
The nature of identity.
Yeah. Or even memory too. So I don't think this one made your list, did it?
No, this one did not make my list.
But all right, we are on to your number two.
All right, coming in at number two for me, extremely hot, is Dandadan.
Yeah. All right, yeah, okay. It's a quick note. This is also my number two. We lined up twice on this list.
And honestly, I can very much see the argument for this being in the number one slot as well. Like, if I were looking at things purely objectively, I probably would have put it at number one.
There's an argument to be made there with some other stuff, but we'll get into that when I get my number one out there.
Fair
But
enough. Um, yeah, I mean, this show just had, again, everything, right? We had some of the most incredible music from this show, incredible opening and ending themes. We had great characters. We had crazy over the top plots and action. A lot of the same stuff that you were talking about with, like, Sanda, how, like, that's so defining for anime. Um, we had it just very consistently good. Strong inter-character relationships, um, crazy like plots and locales. It constantly kept you guessing as to what would happen next. Um, Frantic, frenetic, like comedy and action, and even some really good emotional moments tossed in there.
yep, not gonna lie on that one. This was through and through. It hits every note so goddamn well. The romance this show does to the shonen action, to how each character kind of redefines themselves, and you don't isn't necessarily an archetype you generally see. It's not the nerdy boy who turns out to be right because, and then it's just like, yeah, I was right all along. You should always listen. It's no, he's kind of weird and nerdy, but fun to get along with once you get to know him, and does understand the principles of like how he should act. It's not just a dumb nerd, just awkward, but still a not still an actual good person, not just, oh, he has a heart of gold. It's like, no, he it really does act good and kind and respectful to everyone around him. Or you have the female that's of interest, which the Gyaru, is that the term for it?
I guess you would qualify her as Gyaru. It's not usually the like stereotypical Gyaru fashion or style, but I think it still technically falls into that category.
Oh no, she's more of what's the casual Gyaru from I was kind of understood because I was looking a little more further into
Yeah,
her
yeah.
because her friends are a little bit more heavier than she is, but she's definitely in that social group
Hmm.
and how she acts. But once again, this isn't like, oh, I'm going to be bratty and bitchy or however you want. It's like, no, she's just don't screw with her, don't mess with me kind of a moment. I don't like. I'm going to do my style. Screw you if you don't like it. But at the same point, doesn't like the assholeish bullies. Doesn't like, oh, like, yeah, I know he's a nerd. I'm gonna look down on him. It's like, no, screw you. I'm gonna. Oh, I would, she.
And
Is it good to
also,
call her punk?
shockingly hot grandma is here.
Oh yeah, the I don't want to say the hottest grandma going around, but definitely up there.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I was gonna say it's like almost want to call her punk, which I kind of
Hmm.
fits in because grandma is definitely a kind of a punk delinquent character.
Yeah, like I think that's a little bit of the grandma character's influence on her, more so than it is like her own thing.
Yeah, well, it's, you get a lot from your parents or the people who raised you either way. Um, Once again, it does the over the top, it does the fun weird, it's hitting on so many notes. It's
Heavy
characters
metal
are
exorcism.
it's so freaking much. I love it so much. And it's just the little things with that too, is because it's like it starts off the grandma trying to do the exorcism, got the heavy metal band there to help her with it. Starts their head banging because she's into it. The main cast kind of do it. Then the girl kind of looking, it's like, okay, this is just weird. Then eventually she starts her head banging too, because okay, yeah, this is just cool. This is just good fucking rock. And it does so many good things in this show. If you haven't watched On to On already, go watch it already. Like there's pretty much, if you like anime on any level, this is the recommended show of the year. Um, I think our rank ones are going to be a little interesting to talk about because this is going to be a bit of our bias probably in there.
Oh
Um,
yeah. But for sure, this is like for general audience, you can't go wrong with Dan to Dan. Like it's hard to distill something that's more quintessentially anime than this show.
yep. All right. Now, everybody, on to our tier ones, which I'm fairly certain I know what Yuki's is because the other guess I had is already on the list lower. So, what is your tier one, Yuki?
All right. Well, taking the top spot for me at number one is Ruby Rocks.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so this made the top of my list for a couple of reasons. One is you are hard pressed to find something more incredibly beautiful in terms of animation than this show. Um, even
Which
the
is
most.
weird. Let's get plus for that's a
Yeah.
little weird for what the show is, honestly.
Oh yeah, but even like the most subtle movements of the characters are so detailed and well animated. It's jaw dropping, truly. Um, and then for that to be an educational show that legitimately teaches you about things, and if you're maybe the kind of person who has a special interest in something like mineralogy, will really draw you into that. Um, Also, just very, very awesome to see, like, it kind of carries on the tradition of like, that Bill Nye the Science Guy kind of stuff, which I have a lot of respect for. Um,
Yeah.
and that's to say nothing of the, like, let's face it, the gooner aspect of the show.
Oh,
um,
you mean the amount of budget that went into just the jiggle physics of this show?
Not even the jiggle physics, but like feet even. And for sure though, like, this is one of the, like, most nicely rendered butts you're ever going to see in anime in a pair of jeans. And on top of that, if it's your thing, we've also got like the light Yuri elements in the show. Um, so for me, although it wasn't actually the one that I was necessarily the most excited to watch, if I'm allowing a certain degree there for just sheer quality and sheer craftsmanship, that's why the show went to the very top of the list for me. Um, but I will say it was very, very close with Dan to Dan. Um, like, I think if we start looking at it from the objective perspective, Dan to Dan is probably higher than this show, because of the sheer cultural impact that it had. But I will note that Brewery Rocks definitely had its place in the anime zeitgeist and the discussions that were going on in the season. You definitely saw a lot of shots from the show being spread around social media.
Ah,
Um, like, this is a show that definitely attracted its share of attention, despite being something that was clearly a niche audience show that probably shouldn't have gotten the amount of love that it got. And yet, I'm so very glad that it did.
yeah. Unfortunately, this is, even though it's your rank one, this one did not make my list. I
I'm
did
not
try to go
shocked.
back and watch a bit more of it. I skimmed through the last end of the series. It's just I could not latch on to anything in the show. Even the technical side of it was mm, not something I could enjoy.
And hey, mineralogy's not for everyone.
Yep. Which
But
don't
if it
make don't
is,
mean to
this will
say
hit hard
anything.
for you.
Yep. Yeah. But like I said, this is why we do the duelist, because you get to see different perspectives and different things that are amazing about shows like these kind of things. Um, uh, like I said, I don't have too much to add to that.
Fair enough. So then, Agent, tell us, what is your number one anime of 2025?
Okay, for my number one show, when I was looking at what we had on these lists, one of the things that always kind of kept bringing me back to it was, what shows do I remember the most? What shows would I recommend? And what shows left the deepest impact on me?
Mm-hmm.
And for all of that, it was Topiko's Original Sin for me. Like,
That's 100% understandable. Like,
I'm gonna
the
bum.
only reason it wasn't rated higher for me, again, was just because it was such a difficult watch, which also excluded a lot of the audience for it. But in terms of, like, lasting impact and like its ability to stand as art, I'm right there with you. It is really hard to argue against that show.
Yep, and that was one of the biggest things. Like, I know you've missed the last episode too, but
I mean, even judging the show just on episode 1, it was already so incredible and
like I
fantastic.
said, it's rewatching that trailer was a lot, and the final episode, it's. I would say the ending to this show is bittersweet. It's where a lot of this was dark and heavy emotionally. The last episode was a bittersweet pill to swallow, which, looking on back on my watching anime over the years, I used to hate bittersweet endings. I think they've become one of my favorite overall, though. just
And
because they
I
can.
think I think it's the best you can ask for in some senses from a show like this.
Oh, there's some of this, but just in general, it's this show manages to make you feel both. Its ending makes you manage to feel good and bad on so many different levels that both feel very human and very impactful. Like I said, it's one of the biggest things from any medium that you're actually a part of is how much emotions you feel while going through it. It doesn't matter if you're playing a video game, watching a movie, reading a book, having a story being told to you over a campfire. It's those things that make you feel, that leave an impact, that tend to be some of the best pieces out there. And not only does this show do that on such a level, it does it while being absolutely beautiful with what it does in its medium.
Tragically beautiful, one might say. I
Oh, there's just no stopping on that, is there?
I think I think that this is a show that while it didn't garner the biggest following on release, is the kind of thing that is going to live on pretty much eternally as a cult classic. And I think it's the kind of thing that's going to slowly spread and gain traction over time as more and more people say, no, listen, this is a show that you have to watch.
Yep. And at least I hope. But the way animation is just being spewed at you nowadays, it can be hard to go back and keep up with stuff right now.
Oh, yeah? There's just so
Okay.
much fire hosing out of the pipeline.
Yep, and they're trying to pick up the pace apparently too. Um, okay, so now that we've kind of gone through our R's, it's time we solidify. Oh, I guess we do have one honorable mention that was in our A rank and S ranks that neither one of us cared for too much.
Well,
Um,
I'll throw up the preview for it real quick, just so that everyone can see what didn't make the cut, which is Witch Watch.
okay, I'll do that one. Um, yeah, the problem, the problem this show had with making the list was it's a heavily crazy slapstick romance comedy set in a modern day. And as far as the crazy stuff went, Dan Dunn did everything this show did, but way better. The comedy was probably better in Nikuro or Ninja and Assassin Living Under One Roof. The crazy over the top was better in Sanda, and the emotional romance. Um,
Any number of shows.
yeah, I was like, I was gonna point to like just one to start with here. That it was just like, well, there's that one, there's that one, there's that one. And it's like, yeah.
Really, there was very little chemistry between the characters. It was mostly just like a pretext for the comedy.
Yeah, which maybe it would have built more over time, but it's a start. It just did not do it. But all right, we are now going to go through the process of trying to shave this list down.
I have a couple suggestions off the like cusp here. I think probably anything in slot 10 is automatically going to get bumped down.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was looking on that too. So that's not bad. Probably Sanda and Dandadan should stay where they're at, since we both kind of agreed that's we did not do any feedback between each other on our own list. Those were supposed to be separate. Then we would finally come together and build those lists. So
Sanda
go
actually
ahead
wasn't
and,
on my list. I'm not sure which one you're thinking of.
what did we have that? Okay, my mouse has been screwing up a little bit. So what did we have that was both under the same thing? Was it Ninkuro at 9?
Um.
I might have pulled that up.
Well, yeah, I think
Unfortunately,
I had that at 8, and you had it at 9, so it was very close
okay,
to
that
each other.
bumped up.
And was the other one maybe Apocalypse Hotel?
Yes. Then wait, with Love with You, will make it to the end. Was that supposed to be on 7?
Mine was on 7, yeah.
Okay, yep. No, my mouse is currently going out, so clicking and dragging is not. It's not reading the button being pressed down entirely. So those got moved around. Okay, so Apocalypse Hotel and Don to Don probably should stay where they are.
I will say, Lover Unless can probably be safely dropped off the objective list. As much as I love the show personally, I think when we're being objective about it, it doesn't quite make the cut.
Okay, so we'll drop that out to. Okay, so we have to make two more cuts on this list at this point.
Now let's see, 1, 2, 7, 8, 12. Yeah, two more.
Yeah, which is going to be interesting because we should
Now,
probably take those from.
I definitely think Ruri Rocks belongs on the list. It's really hard to argue that something that had probably the best animation of the entire year doesn't deserve a slot. But I can definitely see the argument that it shouldn't necessarily be at rank 1 if we're looking at it objectively.
Like I said, it's like I don't think. Once again, it's like I want to drop this down to like mid tier realistically.
Yeah, I would say anywhere between like 3 and 6 would be comfortable territory for it.
Which is interesting. Like I said, are we good with Topeko being at 1?
I'm okay with Topeko being at 1 in terms of like, yeah, again, it's not the easiest watch. It's not the thing that I went to, but it will be something that stays with me the longest, I think.
Out of everything on this list, barring some other crazy twist with the shows that are still ongoing, that's probably going to be my most remembered show from the entire goddamn year. Which do you want to kind of work our way down with stuff, or do you want to try to knock out the bottom?
Let's kind of do it that way and just kind of see what gets bumped off as we go. And then we can assess if maybe anything needed to be moved up.
Okay, because right now we have Dreams Beyond the End of the World and Generic Romance sitting at 3.
Yeah, Generic Romance, I still have a little bit of a harder time judging because I haven't seen the ending of it. It was interesting, but I'm not, from what I've seen, I'm not sure it's rank 3 interesting, personally.
Yeah, that can okay, for anyone who doesn't want the heavy spoilers, I'll probably have to talk about a few of the things we missed on watching some of these, because I think it's important for me to talk about the ending to this series as what it is. Because what was the final bit you know about on this so far?
Let's see. I got into the part where the blonde girl goes out to Beijing or whatever to do some shopping, and then comes back with like the experiences that she gained there. And we had like the alternate version of one of the characters kind of show up and was like sort of spying on people. Let's see. Yeah, that like I was just a little bit past kind of that section there. I did have the reveal that the doctor character or pharmaceutical guy was intersex, and I was getting like kind of some of their backstory. It seemed like.
Okay, so what the final twist are, because you're probably never gonna go back and actually watch this one, are you, Yuki?
Even if I do, this would be the appropriate time to spoil it. It's fine.
Okay, so the final twist of this series is almost everyone in Kowloon is fake. They are memories of people reliving that particular summer. No matter what time you go to, if you are somebody who still longs for the era of the city back in its day, you can enter it. If not, it is a destroyed ruin for everybody else. As I believe you saw with a couple other people.
Yeah, there was like the pizza delivery guy that showed up and was like, "What are you talking about? This place is just a ruin."
Yep. So the big crazy device in the sky kind of pertains to memories and kind of kept those going. The the city itself is perpetually locked in that summer. Every time it rolls over to the end of summer, it rolls back to the spring. Focusing on our main character, the love interest, the guy in this one would be that in that end. Basically, what has happened here is it has recreated the memories of the summer he fell in love with what his fiance, which was what we think is the main character who doesn't have any memories of her previous life, just the concepts of who she kind of should be, and very much kind of comes down into, oh, I'm the shadow of the memory of your fiance who, more trigger warnings for this one, unalived herself just before your wedding
Hmm.
for without leaving any kind of reason or any kind of notes. So this was very much of the main character kind of going through this ultimate trauma and then
Yeah, I did get the reveal
living,
that she had died of an overdose.
yeah, which not sure if that was entirely intentional, but very much seems like it was too.
It also said that she would have to take like thousands of the sleeping pills she was described to be able to accomplish that. So it was implied that there was some other drug at play that went into there. But yeah,
Yeah, there's a little bit more in play into here. So the biggest thing with this whole series was him going through this summer until like that memory degrades and he's left with this person who still kind of falls in love with him, but also as a in a different way, but doesn't just kind of, oh no, I'm supposed to be your love. It's no, I'm my own person, but I still love you kind of moment at the very end. The two biggest twists is when you find out with the little Lolita that turned out to be the buff um tracking dude, is anyone in the city that finds out that someone from outside who is the real person enters and then becomes known erases the original person because he didn't accept his old identity and who he was until he finally comes to terms with that and reveals that to the other people of like what he wants to be. The other person was always there. So that very much played into, that was who I wanted to be. That was who I wanted to live as all of my life. And then kind of accepting it, his old self disappears and now kind of accepts his new person.
interesting.
That's part of the biggest reason I wanted to talk on that one. That is some of the biggest points on this one. And the series does end with the main character kind of coming to terms with he has to move on with his life. I won't spoil exactly how it ends because the final twists are incredible. I would say that really. Voice was going out there for a second. That really, really put it as high as it did on my list. That's why I was hoping you're going to be able to finish it because it's. I'm bad at describing and pitching some of these shows. Also, the reason I like to have you on here, people tend to listen to you. People tend to not watch the shows I like to recommend. It feels like,
What, really?
yeah. Um, that's kind of why I want to put this up here because it does such a good job on that one. Like, what's it? Oh, weirdly enough, kind of Dusk Beyond the World's End, both kind of coming to terms with the main character coming to terms with who and what they are, kind of playing a
Yeah.
part into that there too. So irony on
Now,
that one.
incidentally, Dusk Beyond the End of the World, I can definitely say, like, objectively, should at least be lower on the list somewhere.
Yeah, I'll
Because it
knock.
did have a few quality issues, as we talked about.
Yeah, I'm gonna knock this down too. Um,
The acid test, though,
like,
is does something like Clevitas or Ruri Rocks belong above Kowloon?
okay. The problem I have with the reason I would put Clevitas below Kowloon is because Kowloon is a finished story. Clevitas has more room to either grow or detract from itself.
Fair enough.
That's one of the biggest parts I have on that one, and that gives other shows that are finished so many extra points to me, and why that I can generally recommend those so much better, just because There was probably a good 10 years you could recommend Game of Thrones to a person. Um, I don't know anyone that does it anymore.
I mean, I still would recommend it to people, but with the caveat that the last season just isn't going to match up to the rest of the show.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I have the hard part on that one. Um, like I said, that's where I want that. Rank 4, it's like I said, you got Clevitas, you have Rory Rocks here. Like you finished Rory Rocks, you finished Clevitas?
Yeah, I finished both of these.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? I think if I'm going based off of impact to the overall community and also sheer quality, I think Ruri Rocks edges out Clevitas slightly. Which, if we're keeping the current order of things otherwise, would drop Clevitas down to rank 5 and probably start pushing some other stuff down the list a little bit.
I mean, that's kind of what you have to do when you rank stuff like that. And this is kind of how I like to do this. It's because that's the other thing about the generic romance. It's like I said, it has that 90s style, but it has it. I don't quite want to say modernized, but cleaned up a lot. I think it might be a better way of putting it.
It's modern techniques applied to a older style,
which really does help clean it up a lot while still keeping it. Because there's been a couple other shows that have tried it that just one, what was it? Beat Joe or something. I don't know. There's been a couple other ones that have tried it and just missed the mark.
Yeah. It's easy for shows to become like over reliant on the CGI or something like that when they're trying to modernize and just fail spectacularly.
Oh, we're gonna have a show like that on the next on this coming season review. Oh my god! But then there was also shows like Black Cat that very much were in that style, but there was a lot of stuff in there that just kind of took you out of it too. It felt like last year, and that did that one. I could drop Clevitas down just because I could feel that argument down there. You want to leave Rory Rocks at 4. I could see Clevitas down at 5.
All right. Now that said, I would put Apocalypse Hotel above End of the World. And for me, it'd be above To Be Hero as well. But that's your show to defend.
Yep, that's going to be the other problem I have there. It's Apocalypse Hotel. Once again, it's that finished story. To Be Hero X did a lot of really good stuff overall, and I really didn't enjoy it. But I can drop this down further. I definitely see that too. Just here because I'm just thinking about every storyline I watched in this, and I wouldn't like. There's a lot of episodes in Apocalypse Hotel that will deal better than a couple of the stories in there, and it means I have to judge it as a whole against each other. And once again, To Be Hero X isn't finished, and do not continue Apocalypse Hotel. It's done. Leave it as it is. No more.
Okay.
And
here's the proposition I have for you. I think looking at how things are shaping up currently, I think Anne Shirley and End of the World are probably the two that end up not making the cut here.
I'm looking at the rest of these. Anne Shirley definitely. End of the World. I kind of want to keep trimming these down a little bit more before I make a final call on that one because I am tough on that one. As for rank 7, though, yeah, no, you're going down on there because Hero X and Sanda I like better than you. Will Our Love make it through? That's going to be the big one on that, though.
Yeah, I can see in terms of like, okay, if we're judging based off of like pure quality, and also like how broad the audience is, I think Sanda probably ends up eking out Love Would Make It Through.
I do agree on. I agree on that one too. This is a little bit specific, and the other problem is both Sanda and To Be Hero top in animation is, my god, good.
Yeah, like the animation is serviceable and good for its niche like genre in Love Will Make It Through, but it's definitely not going to wow anybody.
Yep, which leaves Hero X and Sanda next to each other again. Which that's
I mean, these are both shows that I didn't finish, but of the two, I think my vote from what I watched has to go to Sanda when we're comparing the two.
I get that, and I'm very much there. I can understand why because you watched. Did you watch the full first arc, or did you only do the first 3 episodes?
Of which show?
Hero X.
Hero X? I think I actually watched. I think I got reasonably to like episode at least 7-ish on To Be Hero.
The only reason I'm questioning is because you don't remember it jumping main characters you were following, though, do you?
Not really, which is weird.
Because that's
Based off
episode
of how you said
4.
that it did that.
Oh, so a little bit more spoil on that. The jump from episodes 4 to 5, I think, skips back. It skips back a couple years at least.
Yeah, like there was definitely the wedding that got crashed and like that whole scene that I remember. And
That's
like
episode 3.
okay. And like I know the teleporting person teleported away. But I could have sworn I actually got a little further in the show than that because I ended up watching it with a family member for a bit.
I
Maybe I just thought that because I like retreaded the same episodes I already watched.
Yeah, because she comes back in the next episode and is actually killed.
Ah, I see.
So that's kind of like you did it. It's like even that first arc is really good because the what was it, the finder, the hero that tried to out him in episode 2 on live television, like comes back as an actual villain on that and like actually outs him. But
So here's the thing. Animation wise, while To Be Hero does some unique stuff, I feel like the animation win goes to Sanda. And B, in terms of uniqueness, Sanda is definitely eking out To Be Hero. It's not that To Be Hero isn't doing unique things within its genre, but it's competing with the likes of My Hero Academia to be a superhero show.
I would even say more than that. I will give you on those aspects, definitely all there. With that said, I think I just gotta drop everyone else down to 9 right away because I don't see
That's fair. Yeah.
those two and Nikoro as much as I loved it. No, like To Be Hero, like as far as like hype shows went, Don Don's number 1, Hero X was my number 2 from last year, probably. Which now brings us back down to rank 9, which we have World End, Love, and Nikoro. Which
Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be rank 9, but I can't really justify Ninja and Assassin falling off the list. If only because it is, like, there's nothing else really competing with it that's made the list in its genre.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And this was one show, like, I did not have, like, I'm pretty sure it's unfinished still. Like, there's a question mark there. So that's unopened in a good and bad way, at the very least. I would, like, it's one of those shows, it could be done and it could be fine. you could do more of it. That could also be fine as long as the quality stays. Um, which I feel like I have to just put there just so the monkey paw doesn't curl. Um,
Yeah, there's so many shows that get handed off to some awful other studio for season 2 or something. We're looking at you, One Punch Man.
yeah, that's what I'm all Winsley with. I think I want to drop. I think I'll drop these two down to 9, and then it kind of comes down to I think it's Dusk or with you, and
Animation wise, Dusk definitely wins. There's no question that, it, from pure animation chop standpoint, it stands above. But I don't think that's the only thing worth judging on. The, the romance and sexual tension in Love Will Make It Through was definitely a huge cut above End of the World. Um, and as much as I love like some of the unique, well, some of the interesting things it was doing from like relationship standpoints and things like that, and also like, okay, we've already got the AI thing kind of represented with Apocalypse Hotel. Um, we didn't really have another show with those kind of non-standard relationships making the final cut, which leaves it kind of difficult to cut there. But you could say that it's kind of competing a bit on that front, a little bit with Love Will Make It Through as well. So I don't know. This is a really, really tough one.
okay. So here's the thing. I kind of it's kind of deciding it for me. It's
Mhm.
like I have complaints with the way To the World's End tells its story and way as there's some reveals kind of inflect on that one.
Mhm.
With you, I don't have any of those problems. This like Dusk I have more problems with, even though it has some higher quality points in it. With you, it's just overall I have such a better liking of that one.
Yeah, you could say End of the World just isn't as cohesive, and maybe isn't as watchable in that sense.
Yep. So
I mean, I was okay with dropping it off the list earlier, so I'm okay with making that call to cut that from number 10.
yep, I just wasn't sure on that one. So all right, then we have our final rankings for 2025, everybody. Oh, Tapico ranking at number 1, Dada number 2, Colwood Generic Romance at number 3, a nice little Yuri Rocks at number 4, Clevitas picking up 5.
Did you just pronounce it Yuri Rocks?
Yes, okay, that's what it lives on as in my mind.
I cannot blame you for that one bit. But that's amazing. I love it.
You hadn't heard it like you called that before? Like everyone I knew that knew about the show was constantly dictating it Yuri Rocks.
Oh no, I have heard it before, but I haven't heard anyone just like drop it as the actual name of the show that way.
That's what it is in my brain. Like that's the space it eats up as a Yuri Rocks.
This is how it lives rent free in my mind. Yeah, that's
Yep.
legitimate.
Yep. Apocalypse Hotel ranking at number 6. Sanda pulling up number 7. To Be Hero X coming in at 8. Ninkuro or a Ninja and Assassin Under One Roof at 9. And number 10, With You Our Love Will Make It Through. Any final complaints or comments you want to make on these?
No, I think we've reasoned through things pretty well, but again, anything that makes this list is really doing things right, and if you're near the top of the list, you're probably a show that's going to be remembered for years to come.
Yep. Those of you that have not caught any of these, definitely if you want to go back, if you have the time and want to go back and watch them, like these are the ones I'm going to say go catch at all. If you haven't already. But with that, still about eked out 3 hours. I figured we was going to be like this just because we were going to talk and debate a little bit more too.
Yeah,
Um,
I knew it wouldn't be just like a fourth of our usual time slot, but I also figured, with a fourth of the number of shows we're talking about, it couldn't possibly be as long.
yeah. We try to burn through stuff a little bit more. Yuki, would you have anyone like to you'd send us out to?
Let me take a look real quick.
With that all that being said and everything, um, that's what was that one actually? Um, I am going to be back this Tuesday with more Suikoden 3. We should be finishing up I'm probably going to try to finish up the last of the chapter 3 characters this week. Um, Thursday, I'm back with picks, and we're going to be playing some good old Destroy All Humans 2. Death to the human race.
Right. How about Vexenor, who's currently playing old school RuneScape?
Okay, yep, nope, I got him on my list too, so I don't even have to pull him up. Right. Yuki, what will you be trying to do this week?
Um, I'm not quite sure yet. I've got my mom's birthday this week, which is definitely going to eat some of my time. But I'll probably be around at least here and there for some Uma Musume, if nothing else. And ideally, I want to start trying to get back to playing some other games on the channel as well here.
Yep. But okay, everyone. The other thing you can do is can join us on the 3rd of May as we'll be going over the spring season for 2026, which good stuff out there so far. It's also very much a lot.
We may or may not end up having a guest host or two.
Yeah, but this is going to be Agent Q signing off, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Matini.
I forgot to hit the timer button.
Whoops.
Okay, now I'm out.